All it takes is an invitation. Hello there, fellow recovery leaders, members, friends, family. My name is Ricky, and today I'm going to be talking about the top 10 ways to market Recovery Canada. How many ways? 10 ways to market Recovery Canada. So you might have grown up in the 80s, watching David Letterman. He always had these top 10 shows. So these are our top 10. There's going to be 5 digital strategies and 5 physical strategies. When I talk about digital, online, so strategies, we use the internet to try to bring people into recovery. Then when I talk about physical strategies, these are offline ways, face-to-face, person-to-person, in the real world and in the online world. So firstly, the 5 digital strategies. You can probably imagine what number 1 is. That is right. Social media. Social media is the biggest marketing opportunity for Recovery Canada because everyone is on social media, especially, places like Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, Pinterest, etc. We don't have to do all of them. Of course, it's going to be overwhelming. It's going to take time, energy, effort, creativity, posting all these places. So really, I think if we can focus on Facebook to start with, that's a good starting point. And when I'm presenting this about the top 10 ways to market to Recovery Canada, I've observed, analyzed, and incorporated what the U.S. Recovery International is doing. So they do have a Facebook page, they have an Instagram page, they have a Twitter handle, they have a Facebook group, they have, of course, the website and all the Zoom meetings, right? So what they're doing, we can do something similar, adapt, and refine based on our needs here in Canada. So I'm going to first overview the 10 methods, and then for the closing of my speech, we'll go into a deeper case study, giving some practical examples of Facebook marketing in particular. So number 1, we have social media marketing. Number 2 is something called SEO, search engine optimization. What that means is, where do we rank on Google? So when somebody types in on Google, mental health support London, Mississauga, Hamilton, Niagara, all these areas here in Ontario and of course in BC, how high does Recovery Canada rank? And the way you can rank is by doing blog posts, doing social content, podcasts, YouTube, doing links from influential websites back to Recovery Canada. So creating traffic on the web leads to higher probability of us being ranked on. So think of some, maybe I'll give you a couple, not minutes, but maybe 30 seconds to write down some keywords that you'd like to show up in Google. So for example, recoveries or mental health support group, okay? But geographically connected. So mental health support group, London. Or so think of the province, the suburb, the area. So if you could write those down. Okay, so other ways to market digitally are blogs. That's basically written articles, right? Blogs have died in the last 10 years because more and more people are desiring video content, audio content. So when you think of blogs as written, podcast is audio, and so you're reaching the senses. The written, people who like to read, people like to listen, and people who like to watch. Okay, 3 types of people you're targeting. Then you have, of course, Kindle and PDF. So we have all these amazing books by Dr. Lowe. I actually ordered, I think, 7 or 8 of them because I was really keen back in the spring. I joined recovery and I was attending meetings daily in the US. I was just so keen. So I think I spent $100 just on books. I was like, okay, I'm going to just get all the main books by Dr. Lowe. So I'm old school. I like my highlighter and my pen, but nowadays people have I was on the airplane and I saw people, like not many people will watch or bringing a physical book on an airplane. People, no, PDFs, Kindles, right? Okay, so the number 5 way to market ourselves is through meetups and Eventbrite. So that's meetup.com and eventbrite.com. So this is where we can draw more people who are searching. People go to Meetup and search these terms. So instead of us going to them, they come to us. Attraction marketing, attracting them to us. Attraction. So both Meetup and Eventbrite. So I would recommend each chapter has a meetup. I mean, in British Columbia, we do have we need to fine tune it. I'll work with Kathy to optimize the search. So Meetup, so you have the big search engine, which is Google, but you have these other search engines like the Facebook search engine. Then you have the Meetup search engine, right? So when people search for mental health support groups Vancouver, our Meetup should show up number 1, right? And we can talk about those kind of keywords. All right, so those are 5 digital strategies, and any kind of pressing questions, because I do want to get into physical strategies. So physical strategies, swag, got your mugs, you got your bags, beautifully designed, by the way, caps, you got your pens that are up there in the front. So purchase this. This is also to remind yourself, it's a beautifully designed mug. I got one to take back to Vancouver, so I'll be drinking my chai latte, my tea, my orange pico in the mornings, and thinking about recovery. I could put my laptop in here, I could bring my Dr. Low books, and I can carry them with me, right? So this is really good for marketing. The t-shirt, obviously, so when I'm on the escalator, when I'm in the elevator, guess what people are doing? They're reading my shirt. Marketing, creating awareness. Something called touch points. So people have to see something, 5 to 7 times before they buy or visit or want. So they might hear, oh, Recovery Canada, is that something like for alcoholics? And then they'll be like, no, mental health. But I think I need that, right? So I think we need to emphasize the mental health part of recovery, because recovery tends to be associated with of course, addiction, substance abuse, Alcoholics Anonymous, Smart Recovery, right? So these kind of a linguistic barrier we face when we call it, because it is called Recovery International and it is Recovery Canada, and we are recovering from mental health, even though we might not be facing these alcoholic or drug problems. So, okay, marketing swag. Of course, you got your bulletin boards, right? So your libraries, your community centers, your universities, your colleges. Here we are, University of Western Ontario, McGill, UT, but these are the big universities. Of course, people are struggling with mental health there, as they are everywhere. But also think of the local community colleges, the technical universities like British Columbia Institute of Technology, these kind of places where people are struggling. Maybe you could target, just drive around, put bulletin boards. So. And what we'll do is we'll take some pictures and we'll post them on our Facebook page just to encourage people. Okay, you got, of course, your printed books, the book table there. I think most of us already have these books, but how many extra books do you have in your car trunk? So when you're meeting people, you could give them a copy. It's a $20 book, right, give or take. But this is really investment in their lives. You're investing. People, they're not going to throw away that book, especially if you give it to them. It's that personal touch, that connection. Here's a gift to Billy, right? Here's a gift for Lynn. Here's a gift for Kathy, right? So give printed books, things like Secret Santa, right? Secret Santa's coming up, and they usually cheap gift in the $5, $10, $20 book range. Well, we do have, books for $5, $10, $20. So that great leading up to Christmas. Okay, you could speak, right? So, I'm not. And speaking is really sharing our personal testimonies, our stories, because when I share my story, it connects with your story. When I share my heart, it connects with your heart. And when we're connected, magic happens, right? So, speaking, right? So, speaking about mental health issues, depression, anxiety, how you've overcame. People love that. It's called the hero's journey, right? Like, how has Donna overcame her depression or her separation, and how has she made it through, right? Has she pushed through, and it's been through support. It could be counseling or therapy, but also that group dynamics power, right? Which we all believe in, obviously, because we're members and leaders here. Okay, so with trade shows, basically just do a Google search, mental health expo, seminar, conference, summit, and get yourself there. And a strategy to get yourself there, instead of paying for the table, is ask to be a speaker. Because when you're a speaker, you're doing something for them, right? It's not like you want the audience, you want to actually serve the audience. When you're serving the audience by speaking, they're gonna. So when you're a speaker, you could just say, "Hey, can I set up a little booth so people can talk to me at the end of my speech?" Right? So you're basically getting a sponsorship table, and that sponsorship table might be 50, 100, 500,000. Sometimes like $5,000 for a sponsor table. But if you just position that way, like, can I have a little table, and you don't call it a sponsor, just a little table where you can put some information how people can contact at the end of my talk, right? So you're basically getting a sponsor table for free. So that, my friends, is the top 10 ways to market Recovery Canada. So what I want to do now is, because questions can obviously go in many different tangents and directions, and this is a heavy topic which we can talk at length of, and we have the whole day today, and we have tomorrow, and of course, that's how I've been really blessed to be part of Recovery and coming to this conference. The logistics, the airfare, the hotel, I acknowledge that and thank you. So how can I give back by just, maybe sparking that discouragement and turning that discouragement into encouragement, or that kind of like this confusion about, I have a really good product, but I don't know how to market it. Well, I'm here for you. We could do a Zoom call, right? Just a WhatsApp call, a Zoom call, Facebook call, whatever works. So, in the last few minutes here, I just want to talk about Facebook and some ways we can market. Okay, so on Facebook, let's talk about the platform as a whole. This Facebook ecosystem, which is a social meaning connection, and media being a way of sharing information, right? So media shares information, your traditional media, radio, print, TV, right? We have a traditional media. So when you think of social media, it is just media, which is the sharing of information socially. And when we're sharing information, we're sharing about our favorite restaurants, movies we watch, but also we're sharing about our struggles. And I think we all know this. Social media is glorified and fictionalized reality. So when I say it's glorified and fictionalized, it means it's not real. No one's life is like you see on social media. Nobody. And people have our struggles, ups and downs with health, with fitness, with relationships, with their marriages, with their kids, with our money, our mortgages, right? So we all have our struggles, and I think we just need to be more real, of course, on social media. So we got a platform, Facebook. We have a Facebook profiles, right? That's just like Ricky Shetty, my personal profile. But we have also these things called pages. They were traditionally used for businesses, but now they're used for personal brands, but also like nonprofits, and we do have a Facebook page. We also have groups which are basically around a common theme. Lynn has a group there. If you're not on it, make sure you join it. And a group chats, yeah. So you have Facebook profiles, you have your Facebook pages, Facebook groups, so communities. You have your group chats, where it's basically a whole bunch of people. You could add, 5 people. The Recovery Canada marketing team, and we talk about marketing on there, or Recovery Canada Western Conference exec team. You could talk on there. So the email is kind of like a social way, a more personal way of connecting. Because email, a little bit impersonal, social media a little bit more personal. So that, my friends, is my presentation. Now it's your turn. Any questions? Thank you.